the closed session minutes. Just look over them initially. Okay. We're at 6:30. I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight for the regular council meeting on this Monday, January the 5th, 2026, in these Jeffrey D. Barnes council chambers. At this time, I'd like to ask Councilman Jackson if he would please give our invocation.
Sure will. Father, we thank you for this day. This is the 12th and last day of Christmas, so we can say Merry Christmas just for a few hours longer. We do ask that you look over us through this new year and guide us in all the things that we do, both as people and as the town council, and help us to remember that we're here for our town and for the betterment of our town, and also as ambassadors for your kingdom. Help us not forget whose we are. We do ask that you just guide our deliberations, and also look over our service members here and abroad. I don't think the world's ever going to get seen again, and just to keep them safe and help their families deal with their tours of duty and their deployments, and just with the separations and then any trauma that comes along with them. And we ask for peace and grace in all the things that we do. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Okay. And we are fortunate enough to have some scouts with us tonight from our local troops, 4212 and 421 with us tonight. And I'm going to ask them to lead us into Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item 2, approval of the agenda. This time I'm going to ask Mr. Marcus. I believe we have some changes.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we need to add, and we're going to kind of add it in the middle, do a new 6D, make 6D and 6E that's currently on the agenda, 6E and F. But 6D would be discussion and possible action of directing staff to implement background checks in accordance with the new general statutes. And then that would be the new item 6D. New item 6E, which is currently 6D, the MAPS group, it's for the purposes of classification and pay study and also updating the personnel policy. That will need to be added into the heading of the agenda.
Okay.
Those are the only two changes that I have.
Okay. Any of council have any questions? Okay. Do I have a motion to amend the agenda as spoken?
So moved.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Okay, motion carries unanimous. All right, item 3, consent
You need
agenda.
to approve the amended agenda.
Sir.
You need to approve the amended agenda. You amended it, now you need a motion and vote to approve the agenda.
Okay, all right. I thought that's what we just asked for,
No, you asked to amend the agenda.
amend the agenda.
And now
Okay.
you need to approve the amended agenda.
All right. So, change of word in here, council. Do I have a motion to approve the amended agenda?
So move.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion, second. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries, unanimous vote. All right. And now, item 3, consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So,
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, motion carries, unanimous vote. And item 4, open forum and public comment. Do we have anyone signed up for open forum public comment? Thank you. All right, Mr. Steve Stires? Pronounce that one more time, sir? Yes, sir. Okay, thank you.
My name is Steve Stiens. I've been a resident of Archer Lodge since inception. I signed the petition to help get it started. I'm proud to be here. I'm happy to be here. And I feel privileged to be able to bring my concerns before the council. The traffic has been a concern for a lot of us for a long time. And, you know, there's events that happen that just go beyond the pale, as they say. And recently, the Averys are sitting in their home, and a driver lost control in the curve up here and drove through Roger Thompson's yard and hit the corner of their house. And that kind of drove it home to me that I needed to become a part of what's going on as far as giving you information. I've lived here long enough. I have seen the traffic patterns increase with the increase in population. I've seen both schools, Archer Lodge Middle School and the high school open since I've been here. And normally you have the traffic coming in and out, and it increases. But my observation has been that most of the accidents that I've had privy to in my section of the road have happened in the mornings and weekends. No real set times. The children have their own problems. They tend to be buried in their phone, but they stay in line together and manage to make it. But the errant drivers that leave the road, driving too fast, just lose control. Some of the ladies were going to clean up a house a few years ago and just lost control and rolled up in Travis Hardy's front yard, in the ditch in his front yard. So they just, I don't know what happened, but it doesn't take a lot when you're going too fast. And the road where I live is straight. I live about 1.25 miles east, like you headed to Buffalo Creek from the former C.E. Barnes store. And it's a straight stretch, but there's a dip. You come up the hill from the creek, and then there's a little dip, and then you rise. And that dip's a problem. There's been 2 accidents within the last 6 months, approximately a month apart, that happened within 100 feet of my front door. Right there, because people were turning in to my driveway the first time, and my next door neighbor second time, and somebody popped up over the hill out of that dip, and by the time they saw the car turning into my driveway or my neighbor's, they were going too fast to stop. And they hit one car on the driver's side, and the airbag went off. Man, it was hitting my driveway. He was driving a 2-ton dump truck, so it didn't hurt him. But her car was torn up. She's a teenager. And I felt so badly for her. So, it's right there at me, and I have a real fear that one night somebody will have a head-on collision. And I'm going to naturally go out and see what's going on. And I just shudder about the thoughts of it, because they drive by. I don't know how fast they're going. It's just, but it's straight, and it dips, and it's been paved, and it's nice, and they like to run fast. And I know I've been watching some of the latter meetings you had, and I know y'all been talking about asking for the speed limit to be lowered, and I certainly hope that will go forward. And I just want you to know that both of my grandchildren graduated from high school art, Corinth Holders here, and I'm part of this community, and I've got friends live here, friends with Fred, you know, him and Jim, and Jim did some work for me not long ago. So I'm not well-known, but I know several of the families here, and I'm just glad to be part of the community. So I want you to know that the accidents I'm seeing is basically speeding, distracted, drunk drivers. The curves are one set of problems. The straight stretch is a separate problem. It's got its own things that are associated with it. So anyway, thank you for your time, and I appreciate you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. John Bazzelli.
Hey, everybody. I'm John Bazzelli. I know all of you up there. And so previous community center board member, previous town council member, and current community center board member. So what I want to bring to everybody's attention is we signed an agreement, the community center with the town, to lease our property, you know, for the ball fields and all that. One of the things the town was supposed to do was to maintain and upgrade the field, including ball field lights. So when we had these meetings, Brian Chadwick and I disagreed on a 20-year lease. I wanted to go with a 5-year lease. But Brian said that, you know, if I'm gonna pay for LED HESCO lights on the ball field, he said, if I'm gonna pay $100,000, I wanna make sure I get my use out of the ball field. So that discussion was, you know, held over there at the community center. So I understood what he was talking about. I agreed, fine, I'll go instead of 5 years, I'm good with the 20. So it's been a couple years, and I know there's no plan currently. I know there's been some talk, but I know there's no official plan to put them in, only because I was part of putting the budget together for this year. So there's no plan, at least for this year. So what I'd like to see is a plan of when the town plans on putting up HESCO lights or LED lights like Brian Chadwick promised us. In fact, it's in the agreement here. It says in Part 4, Section C, so the lessee obligations, it says, pay for maintenance, utilities, and upgrades to the property. The maintenance, utilities, and upgrades shall be limited to the baseball field, in parentheses, including ball field lights, soccer field, associated sports, et cetera, et cetera. So it goes on from there. But it was important enough to be put in the agreement, ball field lights. And that was, like I said, the reason why I agreed, you know, to go with the crowd for the 20-year lease. So that's one thing I'd like to see the plan. The other thing is there's a huge tear in the chain link fence. I think you know where that is, Chris, right?
I do, yes, sir.
So that's been there for many, many months, and I'd like to know when that's going to be fixed. That shouldn't be too hard to fix, even if you just restitch it with some fencing wire, you know. But that's got to be fixed. And what we've discussed in the past, and I think we've had discussions with Mike too on, and with Chris on some kind of timer or something for them lights, because I know myself, me, Dean, Castleberry, and our wives were over to, I don't know what they call it, Wendell on Main or something. You know, they have the concerts during the summer. So me and Dean and our wives are sitting there watching the concert. Dean's phone rings. It's the kids playing ball. It's getting dark out. No lights. All right, so I drove, you know, Bazzelli and Andretti all the way to my house to get the key to unlock the fence and turn the lights on. But at that time, we were too late and they canceled the game. So there is a problem with lights not coming on, you know, and lights at the park, et cetera, being left on all night. So it'd be pretty simple to just get a timer, or even a remote control or something. So that's the thing. I'd love to see something y'all could send to the community center. Would be a plan on when the HESCO lights are going to be installed, whether it's 1 pole a year, 2 poles a year, whatever. But that was the body of the agreement, a big part of the agreement we had. So when that's gonna be installed, when the fence is gonna be fixed, and when some kind of timer or some kind of solution to the light problem. So we'd like to see that. If you could come together at a work session or something, get some resolution on this, it'd be great if y'all could send it to, the community center. That's what I have. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. 5A, administration of oath of office to new planning board and board of adjustment member, Mr. Eric Mooneyham. If you would join me at the front, are you here with us tonight? He is not?
I'd spoken with him earlier, and he said he was going to be here, so maybe
Okay.
he's running late, or maybe something came up.
All right. And I was told Mr. Jonathan Cox was also not here.
Mr. Cox reached out a couple hours ago to let us know that he did not want to serve on the planning board. He had a personal circumstance arise, and he does not wish to continue on the planning board.
Okay. All right. We will move along to item 5B. Appointment of board member and alternate to the Capital Area Metropolitan Planning Organization, or CAMPO, Executive Board. And I think right now, Councilman Bruton, you serve in that capacity.
Oh, yes, sir.
Are you interested in continuing to serve?
I would be.
Okay. All right. Any other council members have any questions about that, or?
No. Who's the alternate for it?
Oh, you were.
Not being, but you've always been there, apparently. I didn't, and that would have been fine, and that's fine for me to continue on with that. I've never had to go, so,
I was gonna say, the only thing is, if you serve as the appointee
oh,
or the
yeah,
alternate.
that's right, because I had to do that crazy
fill
thing.
out that
Yeah. The thing saying I didn't benefit from people building roads.
conflict of interest, that it gets into some personal information on your property ownership,
Right.
stock ownership. That, I know people in the past have not wanted to serve because they did not want to fill that out.
Yeah, now that you mentioned that, I remember doing that crazy thing last year. I can do it again.
Okay.
Because you do have to update it every year.
That's fine.
Okay. And any other questions or comments on that?
Sir, I have one. If it's, would it be reasonable to just say if Councilmember Bruton is not able to attend, that she would either let staff know so we can advise the alternate to go, or there's a direct communication with the alternate to appear?
Okay. All right. So the proper motion, we would name both the primary and alternate
Yeah, that'd be
at the same one would be fine?
That would be fine.
Okay. Okay. Council, do I have a motion?
It-
uh,
Is that a motion thing, or is that just an appointment thing?
I asked you a
It's a
moment
motion
ago,
to appoint, right,
did a
Council?
motion need to be made?
I think we need a motion to appoint.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So, council, do I have a motion to appoint as the primary board member and alternate to Campo as Councilman Bruton, and the alternate as Councilman Jackson to the same board?
So moved.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Okay, motion carries, unanimous vote. All right. Item C, appointment of delegate and alternate to the Central Pines Regional Council Board of Delegates. I'm the primary appointed delegate on there. who is the alternate?
I believe Mr. Jackson is.
I can do it again.
Sure?
I never had to attend either one,
Okay. All right,
but
Kinda want
am
to.
willing if needed to be.
okay. And I'm willing to stay on that one myself. Is there any other questions or concerns or from council? Okay. Now, this is a different type of board, but should we do a
Do the same.
same?
Yeah, point.
All right, but we need a vote,
Yes.
okay? I just wanted to clarify, all right? Okay, hearing no questions or concerns about that, council, do I have a motion to appoint the primary delegate as myself and the alternate delegate as Councilman Jackson to the Central Pines Regional Council Board of Delegates?
So moved.
I have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and second. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Okay. Motion carries, unanimous vote. All right, item number 6A, discussion possible action on a resolution, AL 2026-01-05A, adopting the Cape Fear Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan. I'll turn that over to Mr. Jason to give us more information.
Yeah, so this is a plan that's across municipalities. We've adopted it in the past. I believe that it needs to be revised and adopted again every 5 years. There's nothing really that we're agreeing to being hold, nothing that we have to change procedurally within town limits. It's just saying that we agree to adopt this plan and be a part of it. If there are changes that come of it, I'll let you all know that we have to address, but it's really just a procedural thing, saying that we're agreeing to be a part of it. And I believe that the deadline to adopt it is next week.
Okay? Any council have any questions?
When I was reading it, Jason, it made some reference to all these municipalities have their own mitigation plan. Do we have one that's subject just to our law?
Not our own. We kind of go off of a countywide one. I was in a lot of these meetings when they were setting them up, and they were asking all the municipalities to fill out information on whether you had your own or whether, like, what you were going off of. And a lot of the smaller communities do not have their own because there's no real reason for it. And we were one of those, but a lot of the bigger municipalities will have it because they have the resources to attend to those different mitigation stuff and, water treatment and waterway protection kind of things, and we just don't have.
I didn't think we had one, but reading it, it kind of implied that we did, so I was, well, maybe I just hadn't remembered it.
It's like if you just fall under someone somewhere, but you fall under the county's procedures and resort to their guidance on things of that matter.
So we're not committing to any expenditure of funds.
Okay. Which one question?
That was my inquiry as well. I mean, it's 1,400 pages,
Yeah.
so I reviewed as many as I could. But I was wondering the pros and cons as well. I mean, it's always good to have a plan for hazardous and environment protection. Just make sure you have the teeth behind it to implement.
And I will say, one of the pros of this is, if it is in place, it does help lower homeowners' insurance rates.
That's a savings for all of us. Any further questions? Any further comments? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution AL 2026-01-05A concerning the Cape Fear Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan?
So moved.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay. Councilman Rubin, are you in favor? Okay. All right. Motion carries, unanimous vote. Item 6B, discussion and possible action on a resolution AL 2026-01-05B, adopting a code of ethics for the town council and its boards. Mr. Ben, I'll have you introduce that for us.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, general statutes obligate municipalities to have a code of ethics adopted. You all adopted a code of ethics all the way back in 2010, and while that is still valid, it's not like you have to re-adopt it every year. A lot of municipalities will re-adopt their code of ethics and rules of procedure after each election as sort of a procedural thing. One, just to get the newly elected members fresh on those documents. And secondly, if there is a need for updates, there's, for us, it's every well, it just depends when we have an election. But if there's a need for an update, which we do have in the rules of procedure, it's easy just to do it every year or so. And so with the code of ethics, there were no changes. And I believe that this template originally came from the School of Government. And so there are no changes to that. But again, it's more of a procedural thing, if anything.
Okay. Any of council have any questions?
I guess my biggest question is, why is it only applied to town council and not all elected officials? I mean, because reading it, my one comment was, instead of all these references to council member, just change it to elected officials.
I mean, you could change that. Council is the only elected official in Archer Lodge.
Well, the mayor.
The mayor is a member. I mean, it's up to you all. I would say that the mayor is a member of council, but if you all want to, I mean, maybe that's a question for Marcus.
The language doesn't reflect that.
Yeah, and it says town council because the ones that the general statutes focuses on ethics is the town council. More so than the mayor, just because he's not as a day-to-day voting member of council. So, and as Ben said, this originally came from School of Government, so that's why they focused on it, was because generally the ethics portions and conflicts of interest and stuff like that focuses on the council members who are voting on I'll say a day-to-day basis. It's rare that the mayor's voting, and therefore they haven't focused on the mayor so much in these types of towns.
Doesn't the mayor have to take the same ethics course after
Yes.
election?
Yes, but again, for ethics, for conflicts of interest, when we do the quasi judicial, it is he's not having to disclose conflicts of interest as much, just because statutes focus more on council for whatever reason. That's kind of why this focuses on council.
Now, in addition to voting, it also covers behavior and character as well. I think that should cover all elected officials. And the language only, like you said, indicates town council, primarily because we're majority doing the voting. However, is indicating only town council throughout the entire update. I agree. I think it should say elected officials.
If you all would like to do an amendment, I mean, like Marcus said, this came from the School of Government. No one on staff wrote this. But if there's probably a simple solution where you could just add "and the mayor" after council throughout the document, or, I mean, whatever you all want to do, but that should be an easy change to make.
We
I don't
did
think-
this in 2010. So he's had it.
So the document you see has not changed. I think the whereas clauses, I updated those a little bit. But the code of ethics themselves, that's what you see is what's been in place since 2010.
Yeah.
So,
Well, if you look on the first page, after the now therefore be it resolved, if you look at that first paragraph, it says, "The purpose of this code is to establish guidelines for ethical standards of conduct for the mayor and members of council." I mean, it's there. We can add it in other places, but it's right there in the first paragraph.
Well, I think if we wanted that clarification, the end of that sentence where it goes, "and all references herein to the town council shall be understood to include all council members, including the mayor." Because the first sentence distinguishes, the first part of the sentence distinguishes between mayor and members of council. So it's saying them as two separate ones, but
Yeah.
then it goes, all these references to town council is just council members.
So on council members, would it be easiest just to include all elected officials? Would that be a wording that would be the change that would be the easiest?
I think that covers everything.
Yeah, so, and just for clarification, Mr. Mayor, I think what you said, the purpose of this code is to establish guidelines for ethical standards of conduct for the mayor and members of council, and all references herein to the town council shall be understood to include all elected officials.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
that'll work.
Because I kind of interpret, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I kind of interpret that, like I said, that the ending of that sentence and all references herein to town council. The way I interpreted that is it included the mayor, and I've always included myself as, you're on town council, you're what function on town, I'm the mayor. And, but I do think that simple change, can remove any doubt.
I agree.
So elected officials. Everyone good with that?
Yep.
Yes.
just for clarification purposes, after we get done with the meeting, can someone restate exactly what is changing? And I'll make note and I'll make that change tomorrow.
I'll get with you, man.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution AL 2026-01-05B, adopting the Code of Ethics for Town Council and its boards to include the mayor, changing the words of the last sentence of the first paragraph, changing to include all council members, to be changed to include all elected officials.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Okay, motion carries unanimous. All right, item 6C, discussion and possible action on a resolution AL 2026-01-05C, adopting the rules of procedure for the town council and its boards. Okay, I think Mr. Ben, okay, if you want.
Thank you, Mayor. I sent you all an email sometime last week, I believe, that outlined the track changes from the previous document to this document. I believe the last time the rules of procedure were adopted were 2018. And a lot of things were just out of date in terms of functionality. I think the old one said that in order to get something on the agenda, a council member had to fill out a form and submit it by a certain date. And so we've never done that. And so there's a lot of things like that that have been updated. There were two larger changes that Marcus suggested, which he can go into more detail if he wants to. But one is updating the remote participation of meetings that had been I guess added during COVID, which leads me to believe that they were, I spoke wrong. They weren't updated in 2018. I believe they were updated in 2022, but don't hold me to that. But one of the larger changes is updating the remote participation rules. Before, if a member was sick or couldn't make it, they could, I believe, Zoom in and still be counted towards quorum. I believe general statutes changed that, and that's not allowed anymore. So that's one thing that has been changed. Another is spelling out the ballot process for board appointments, just so it's crystal clear what that process is. And then there's minor things throughout, but if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer. This was something that was worked on by myself, other members of staff, Marcus, so.
Any, I was going to ask, were there any questions?
Say something.
Well, and just kind of piggybacking on what Ben had said, the virtual meeting stuff was left over from COVID. It's now, unless a state of emergency is declared, voting and quorum aren't allowed, or counting towards quorum aren't allowed for remote participation. And we've followed that the past, I know, year or so without it officially being official. But this will put that kind of into our rules of procedure. The second is voting by ballot. And I know kind of where I've told you before is there's no guidelines or by voting by ballot for towns. So we wanted to have kind of something in place where, hey, this is our procedure if we decide to vote by a ballot for planning board and board of adjustment, just so we have something in writing that we can go back to and say, hey, this is our procedure of, hey, if we're going to do a ballot, this is how we're going to do it.
Well, I've got a couple of comments, but just for consideration. On page 2 under E with regular meetings, we've got it's going to be the first Monday of each month, except that if a regular meeting is a legal holiday, and you can reschedule it. I know we've rescheduled some that don't necessarily fall on the legal holiday, but maybe the day before, or kind of July 4th. It seems like we always do the whole week, since so many people take July 4th off, so I know it's a little technicality, but it's not always the same one. And then going on down at the bottom of that paragraph where it's talking about the agenda, and you touched on it then as far as how long it needed to be on there, but I was considering adding that you can add, delete, modify, et cetera, items on the agenda during the action item of approving the agenda. Because it's really getting into it, all this stuff needs to be received at least 1 week prior to the meeting. But it just like tonight, we added something, so I don't know if we need to put that in there as far as part of the procedures as well, since we seem to do that quite a bit. And then under order is, we don't have approval of the agenda listed. And I would like to see.
I think maybe that's the older, I have it up here.
Oh, do you? Okay. 'Cause
I'm not sure.
This was the version that we got in December.
Right, yeah.
Is that the one you need, that you handed me earlier?
No, that's,
Yeah, because I had looked at it for the.
Gotcha.
December meeting, so my comments.
I may have omitted that on accident in December, and then I'm not entirely sure.
And I'd
That's
like to
strange.
see number 4 and number 5 flip-flop, because I think the public comment period should be immediately after the approval, because we've had some folks have comments on the meeting minutes, but the consent agenda approved the meeting minute, and so by the time they got to comment, they were already approved. So I think the public comment period should be immediately after approval of the agenda.
Yeah.
So just for clarification, so you would want pledge of allegiance, approval of agenda, public comment period, consent agenda, correct? Okay?
Just to give the public an opportunity to comment on anything that's on that consent agenda.
Yeah, because we had that situation a couple of odd months ago with someone who's now sitting up here. And didn't have the opportunity to comment beforehand.
And then scroll down to the bottom then of that whole list. And then I don't know if you wanted to add the mayor's report and the council member remarks.
It's up to you. I mean, we can.
Because it's something that always.
Right, yeah. I think that was just an accident. That wasn't done on purpose.
I don't think it's as important as some of the other things most of the time, but it's still part of our general agenda. Going to the public address to the council and board, where it basically says we're not to address concerns or questions. I don't know if it'd be worth saying that, people get up there and actually ask a question and we don't answer it. I think there needs to be some sort of acknowledgement that we're not gonna answer your questions, just so it's not like we're ignoring them.
I'll say that, I just took that from another municipality, but I know we've had conversations in the past where we've thought about potentially maybe having a statement read or something that said, thank you for your comments, staff will reach out. If someone has a comment about streets, a standard statement could be read saying, staff will reach out regarding your concerns, just to make sure that it doesn't go out into the void.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
they're asking questions and nobody.
Right, yeah, I understand that.
Then where it gets into items not to be tolerated, personal attacks or behavior, et cetera, and other behaviors deemed out of order by the mayor, I like to add or a council member.
Or a council member.
Then let's see, page 5, number 4, where it's talking about the advertisements for public hearings. I would like the procedures to require that the notice for public hearings be posted on the public hearing notice 2 weeks prior to the hearing.
Can you offer a public hearing?
Item 4, where it's
Oh,
talking about
okay.
public hearing notices, that I think part of the procedures needs to require that notice be put on our public hearing notice 2 weeks prior to the hearing. And number 14 on page 8, adoption of the budget ordinance. The second bullet, no action taken with respect to the adoption or amendment of the budget ordinance need to be published.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I guess I'm curious, wouldn't we always want to publish actions and things that are taken on the budget or an amendment?
One thing I'll say is, one, it always has been published, and two, that's language from, that's not been changed. That has been in the previous rules of procedure. That's not updated. But I will say, what staff has done is we've always posted it. It's on the website.
So I think it need to be considered, because this basically says no action taken with respect needs to be published. So it's basically saying we don't have to publish it. This is the way I'm interpreting it anyway. When it got into the special meetings, it's talking about a 48-hour notice. And then we mail it or deliver it to the newspaper. But if it's only a 48-hour notice.
That's done electronically now.
Email, it's mail.
Yep. We have a list of subscribers and in our internal system, anytime that goes out, I did it today, but anytime that goes out, we have a list of media that's subscribed.
Maybe just change mail to email.
And I will say on that, Ms. Bruton, mailed is in the statute.
As email or mail?
No, it's just mailed
Oh,
because they're old
from,
and they haven't been updated. So the statute says we have to mail the news media, and that's why it's in there,
email.
so.
The bottom of page 10, adjourned or recessed meetings, the last sentence, I'd like to see it changed. It goes, no further notice need be given of an adjourned or recessed session of a properly called regular special emergency meeting, because I know we've adjourned and started, or continued the meeting at a different time, and I've had people from the public actually say, hey, I didn't realize y'all were continuing it, it wasn't posted on the website or the calendar. But I'd like to see it still treated like
Okay.
just a continuation.
Okay.
So it's something that folks know.
Okay, and I think that's a similar thing where that's just language taken from public notice statutes, but that doesn't mean we can't be more strict. Is there like a phrase that you would want added to
I
that,
think it's,
or just stricken?
well, to me, I think it needs to be, it should be posted on the calendar like a regular meeting, because like I said, the last one I remember where we actually recessed it and restarted it, had someone from the public find out after the fact that he hadn't received any sort of notice or was unaware of it and would have liked to have known. So, yeah, with me, it's just, we still post the details of that meeting on
On the website calendar? Okay. All right.
Oh, and I guess this goes to what we were talking about, the virtual meetings and attendance. There's a statement, voting by members in virtual attendance shall be made by roll call. But I thought those members that are in virtual attendance cannot vote.
That's, the copy you're looking at is the old copy.
Okay, so that.
Yeah, right. That was one of the reasons it was pulled, is we wanted to add that before it was considered tonight.
It was being a PDF, it's so hard.
Right, yeah.
So I did it back in December. And this, Marcus, I guess is a question for you, where it was talking about the number of vacancies on the council is such that a quorum of the council cannot be attained. So if we have a vacancy, is our quorum the same as if there is no vacancy? So like when Jim stepped down, our quorum is still
Three.
the same?
Correct.
Okay, that's kind of how I read it, but I'm.
Yeah, and where the quorum stays the same, certain voting requirements change based upon vacancies.
Okay.
So if you have supermajority required, but you have a vacant seat, so instead of a supermajority of 5, now you have to have a supermajority of 4.
Okay.
But as far as quorum goes, it's the majority of available seats. Correct.
Okay.
Tighten the requirement.
Then getting on the, let's see, page 14, where it is talking about quasi-judicial, or copies should also be provided to any other non-parties. I know sometimes when we've had those meetings, the town council has gotten the information prior to the hearing, and other times we have not. So I'd like where it's like, where it says copies shall be provided to other non-parties, including but not limited to the hearing body, because to me it was helpful the times we've gotten it prior to the meeting instead of at that actual meeting. So Marcus, when we vote on those quasi-judicial, it's just a straight majority, it's not any sort of super majority?
Correct.
What is it?
They recently changed that with 160D. It used to be any quasi judicial had to be a supermajority. Now, the only thing that has to be a supermajority is approval of a variance by the Board of Adjustment. So,
That's what I read, but I thought it had to be more than just a straight 50%.
right, yeah. So with the quasi judicials that you guys will have, it'll all be just a simple majority.
Yeah, that was it, sorry.
Okay, council, I'm going to suggest that staff take the suggestions made by Councilman Bruton and make a revision, and we'll revisit this on the next but planning session that we have.
Yeah, and I apologize.
Work session, I'm sorry, work session.
I didn't realize, I knew you highlighted changes, and I thought that's all you were doing, it was still the same version, but I can send you this, and like I said, I apologize for some of it. And the even improved version.
Okay, we'll revisit that. Item 6D, discussion and possible action on directing staff to implement background checks in accordance with general statutes. I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Recently, the General Assembly has passed an update to our criminal history record check of employees statute. 168-164.2, I believe, is included in your packet. And that says the council can adopt rules and procedures that applicants for employment will have a background check done. The recent changes to that is if an employee is required to work with children in any capacity, instead of the town may, it is now the town shall. So if, and the big one is obviously Parks and Rec, dealing with the parks, dealing with the sports. If anyone applies for a position, in order to be offered that position, they have to submit to a background check and fingerprinting. It's not just they go to the clerk of courts and they get a background check. It's a full-scale background check done by the SBI. Like I said, including fingerprints. That is required for anyone working with children in any capacity. One of the questions that was brought up was, what about volunteers, contractors that the town deals with as well? I've done research into it. Cynthia's done research into this. Obviously, the statute says applicants for employment, and that's what they kind of focus on. And the opposite side of the same coin is the towns are allowed to make rules and regulations to promote public safety. So even though the criminal background check for employees doesn't say and volunteers and contractors and third parties, the town is able to go, we want to keep our citizens safe. And part of that is making sure we do background checks on anybody that's coming in contact with, especially our youth, on behalf of the town. It's, like I said, it's a lot more stringent. It's SBI background check, fingerprinting. It's not we've been doing it for our volunteers, but it needs to be something, in our opinion, that is an official ordinance of the town, saying this is the town's policy. We're going to keep our citizens safe. When this came up, talking with Chip at our office, just kind of giving an example, years ago, a gentleman had applied to be a coach for one of their youth sports. They did do background checks. It came back that he was on the offender registry. Obviously, that's not something that he put on his application. And it would not have been known if they hadn't done a background check. So bringing it to you guys for recommending an ordinance for all volunteers, third-party contractors, especially working out at the park, that background checks shall be done by the town on this. And that's kind of this, the statute says the town shall. You can't contract out that to, well, if you get me a copy of one. No, we have to have it, we have to do it. So we're wanting to use that same criteria for employees to our volunteers to promote the public safety.
It's something we're already doing anyway, we're just
Making it official.
making it official.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And again, I think when he says background check, he's meaning everybody's going through the SBI and fingerprint background check. We currently do not do that for our coaching volunteers. This would be something that we're going above to do.
Okay.
Well, what's the cost associated with it?
$30 per person, per applicant.
Yes, it's perfect.
Approximately how many volunteers would we be talking about?
When you're talking just town-ran programs, you're probably talking anywhere between 20 and 30. When you're adding, as well as Little League, you're probably talking anywhere between 130 and 150.
In the Little League group doing it now currently for
Correct.
those folks?
Yes,
So
they are.
But-
that stay the same?
Well, now we're saying that we're
So
responsible.
that's what I was asking him, because I thought we had done it at the first year, but then we put it back on to the
That is
middle
correct. That is correct.
because it was so time consuming and,
So that would be something you guys would need to decide on that end.
And I believe they had a mechanism, they were able to get an allotted amount up to a
Yes.
certain number for free,
Yeah,
correct?
for free.
And that was a good deal
Yes.
until now, we're being told the town shall. And so, in
What's
my opinion.
the town shall for employees is what this is stating, is that correct?
The new statute says the town shall for new employees, applicants for employment.
So it's not saying the town shall for volunteers, but for, I guess, ease of writing the terminology down, there's a text down, if we did it for employees and volunteers. That, the other side of that would be, is what the Little League is doing, does it meet the same criteria as what we're doing? As they do the SBI thing, or they just do the local law thing? I guess that's my question.
Councilman Jackson, I can answer that question. So the statute says that we are responsible. And I agree with you that it doesn't necessarily say that we have to do it to volunteers. The intent of the law is for us to protect our citizens and our children.
I got that. But my question is for the Little League, what standard are y'all doing it to currently?
It's a national database standard that Little League International puts out from Pennsylvania that is as stringent as it comes. It hits on every time somebody has a criminal record at any point, it hits on it and sends us something immediately. And it's free for us to use. It's 120 people we get for free. It covers all of our volunteers. And my opinion, if you include this in, we're gonna lose a lot of volunteers because it's going up. They're already having to do it. They have to do this background check with Little League. No ifs, ands, or buts, or, if, ands, or buts. We have to do this through Little League to be a Little League. So they'd have to do 2 background checks now. And that's gonna we're gonna lose volunteers because of it.
The statute for us says that we are responsible. It doesn't cover anyone outside of us. We are legally responsible for doing this. And I'll give you an example. And
let me add, it's not just SBI, it is FBI as well. So the SBI sends it to the FBI. So it's a national. Now, if I can go and get the same report myself. The statute says we cannot accept it from anyone but ourselves. We have to send this to the, to the reporting agencies ourselves. We then get the report back from the SBI. The statute also includes language through the SBI, because the statute says that it will be done. SBI is the regulator of it. For an example, if I'm fingerprinted, they find cause, they report something back, that there's a charge that I've been charged and convicted of. I'd say that's not me. As the employer, we are responsible for assisting the applicant in challenging the results of their criminal history. So this is, it's greater than just a report. And we are not allowed to accept anyone else's, because we are responsible as public employers. It doesn't cover anyone outside, no private employers.
So I think I get, now, don't get me wrong, I'm okay with doing a more stringent background check when it's required, but this is what I'm asking for, information on here. If theirs is done through a national database, which one is more stringent? I mean, if it's already done through a national database where it's getting hits from, here to Timbuktu or whatever.
I'm gonna guess that there's nothing more investigative than the FBI.
True, but if theirs is a national database, I'm sure that the FBI has something to do with that, but, I mean, that's my question, is on that.
Y'all include fingerprinting?
It doesn't do fingerprinting, no.
And see, ours
Okay.
does. You have to, and you can't just go anywhere and be fingerprinted. The state regulates who does the fingerprint. It has to be an approved.
And I think I just got my answer. I was looking for which one is the more stringent of the two. And,
But by statute, we only have to do it for employees. We don't have to do it for coaches and volunteers, right? So if they've got a stringent one, do we need to do what he's saying, that the double dip, that's not required by general statute?
There is so many interpretations of that. As, in my opinion, to make sure that the town is in full compliance with no question, we should do absolutely anyone that is going to participate in our program and be with our children to make sure that we are abiding by what the intent of the law is, and the intent is for public protection.
yeah, no problem with that. At least from me, now for the Little League, you still have to do it through the Little League.
I got a question, sorry.
Well, go ahead.
Chris, so we contract with Little League for, how many employees are we having and volunteers that are working for the town for Parks and Rec?
That participate with that helps out that program?
Yeah, that helps out any Parks and Rec program.
Probably be seven.
Seven employees?
7 employees, we talking about me as well as.
And what about volunteers?
Volunteers, it'll fall back on.
It falls back on the contracted.
Yes, sir.
Okay, is Little League the only thing we're contracting with?
We have with Little League.
Do we have any other sports we're contracting with other than?
You could say NERFA with soccer. You could say that as well, where they provide soccer for the down Virtual Lodge.
Okay.
But there's nothing, we don't have a standard MOU with them.
Okay.
As well as your coaches, anybody does camps, it could be a one-day thing.
Correct.
Anybody with children.
Well, I get that, but that are volunteering for the town, not going through, they're not contracted in, they're contracted through the town, provide that service?
Oh, so when you say to provide any services that we're,
So like when I look at the Little League, it's not technically our problem if they're not doing a background check. They should do a background, but we shouldn't be paying for it. Employees only, like I guess the
when you're talking
intent,
specifically for Little League.
yeah.
Yeah, so it would be 7 when you're talking specifically for Little League.
Okay.
When you're talking every other sport or contract, you're probably looking anywhere between 15 to 20 when you're talking any other sports or services.
Gotcha.
Then when you're talking third party.
Do any of those people like are they double dipping? Like they're doing the Little League and doing soccer? Or?
Not as far as staffing, no, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So would these costs be rolled into the fee schedules?
Repeat on.
The cost, is it rolled into the fee schedule?
With that, the town would pay for everything. We wouldn't force a coach-sharing bank to actually pay for their background check. It would be.
But I'm talking about the participation fee, that's the fee schedule. So that cost, say if it's $6,000, and that gets added into the total expense, that then gets divided into the participant cost and fee schedule.
That definitely could be added to the fee schedule. So it's not such a burden on the town. It could be added to. Now again, we're one of the higher. When you're talking Little League, we're already on the higher end. So I'm not sure if increasing those fees, but at the same time, that could be done.
Chris, do you have any, when you came here, I know you had a lot of experience, and do you have any experience outside? Because I mean, when it comes time to play Little League in August, you got kids coming from 7 or 8 different countries into the United States. And so, I mean, this is a strenuous, because when I was there, nobody gets in there in the bleachers except parents and grandparents.
Yes, sir.
But, everybody else sits on the hill, but what I'm saying is, I know Little League is protected a long way.
Yes, sir.
And I just wonder if there's something else. I understand what the law says, shall, but.
Are you asking, would there be any other protections, or is there anything else we could do, or?
Yeah, like other towns that are, all towns use volunteers and.
Yes, and I did come up with something that just kept asking me to give you guys. So based on, I've had conversations with 12 other entities, probably more, that when you see an X by it, that means that they're doing a fingerprint check with, through the SBI. Then when you see an X without the fingerprint, that's what, they're just doing a traditional background check with the coaches and volunteers. So if you see with the employees, everybody is following the state mandate, as far as, going through the SBI, background checks. But just based on what, their HR, representatives, as well as talking with the, Parks and Rec directors, everyone is, you see, some are doing fingerprint checks, through the SBI for their coaches and volunteers, and then some are not. And then it goes the same way with the one-day advance as well as third party. And then when you're talking third party, you're talking more contract services. For instance, like when we conduct the softball clinic in the summer, we contract out with Jason Jeffers. He's the softball coach at Archer Rise Middle School. So what we're proposing is that he would actually go through an SBI background check if we're contracting out with him.
When we have tournaments, do the folks that do the tournaments bring all their referees, scorekeepers, everybody?
If you're referring to like when we hosted this past summer,
Yeah.
no, that was on us, and again, this law really wasn't, talked about at that time. But we contracted, we used the same booking agent that we used through, that we have with the Little League, that we used for the Little League through the regular season. So we were using the same, pretty much the same, umpires during that time as well.
Sir, I have a comment regarding Council
Yes.
Bruton's information regarding the fee schedule. Keep in mind, it's really not just for participants or coaches or whatever. It is also for new hires that get a job offer. So really, it doesn't belong on the fee schedule. It's just going to be a cost that we incur.
Well, to me, it's the.
It's definitely a
background-
budget
if-
item.
If we do the background check for the volunteers in Little League, those were the expenses that I was seeing going to the fee schedule, everything that has to do with Parks and Rec. I would never say doing employees in the fee schedule, but that's an expense.
Well, I just wanted to make sure we
Yeah.
understood it affects anybody
Yeah,
that
but
work with children.
Yep.
It was more just talking.
Which
to
it,
Chris
most of the
about
time it
Little
is
League.
Parks and Rec Department that does, that's correct.
I think we're viewing this, we're viewing it as two separate, the things that, the we shall, we're gonna follow the we shall, but the other part for the volunteers, it's if, I guess, if what we're doing's working, and it doesn't look like we're in the minority of the, you said the one with the X and no fingerprint, those are folks that do not do fingerprints.
Correct. That would be where they still do a background check. So again,
Right.
every municipality is gonna do a background check on volunteers and, coaches that come through their program. But again, the ones with X would be where they've, like for instance, with, Greenville, Chapel Hill, and Zebulon, they will be doing SBI background checks for their, coaches and volunteers moving forward.
Is this what we currently do? You said we currently do fingerprints too?
We don't currently do fingerprints. So I have proposed beside us, just because that's what's being proposed.
Okay.
But currently, we just do a traditional background check.
So,
And again,
not
that's
including us,
annual.
8 out of 11 do not do fingerprints.
Correct. And again, like conversations we've had, the law is kind of vague, so you gotta think about what's, I guess, everyone that's gonna require fingerprint checks will, they're looking towards the future, because again, that may change in the future. I think the law was kind of given to us and like, here you go. So again, this is for the towns, to kind of, see what they want to do moving forward.
What would you like?
I support my HR.
Okay.
Let me add that we cannot contract out liability, no matter what the law says or doesn't say.
We cannot contract what?
You cannot contract liability. Ultimately, we are responsible. If something happens under our name, on our properties, with our staff supervising, we are responsible to the public. They're gonna look at, no matter what the law says. No matter what the law says, we are ultimately responsible for the welfare of our citizens and those of which are here in the town, participating in our functions. And it is our functions.
And I'll kind of piggyback on that, and as legal counsel, I will always recommend the least amount of liability for the town possible, and how that fits into, as the budget, that's on you guys to figure out where it goes. But if the town is doing the utmost due diligence, our liability is the lowest. And as your attorney, that is what I like to hear. So just from the standpoint of if something happens, where does the town stand if you can go, hey, we did the SBI background check on everybody that came through and volunteered, we dotted every I, crossed every T. The town's in a whole lot better position than if we don't. So, from a liability standpoint,
So, for me, obviously for the town employees, that's a cost that we're gonna cover. For the Parks and Rec volunteers, if we can include that as some part of a fee schedule, I think that makes it, much more palatable.
The fee schedule is what a participant will pay. So are you, I just want to clarify, are you saying that the participant would have to pay that fee if it's going to be on the fee schedule?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's gonna be divided, I mean, I would suppose the total cost would be divided out across the board.
Spread out over the total.
Mr. Mayor, could I comment on this?
I tell you, before we do that, my recommendation was going to be, because there's valid points, there's valid questions on this issue. And it seems like there's a little bit more that needs discussion that will include. So my recommendation is going to be that we table this issue and to bring up at a work session, and likely before then, more discussion can be had. So is council good with that?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right, let's move along. All right, now we're at 6E, which was originally shown as 6D. Discussion and possible action on a memorandum of understanding with the MAPS Group for the purposes of a classification and pay study to include personnel policy in the header. Okay, I believe we had Mr. Marcus. You want to?
that one's on Cynthia there.
Okay, I thought you were going to lead on that, and then Cynthia, but that's fine.
Okay, I'll be glad to, Mayor. So what you have before you here is the memorandum of understanding from the MAPS Group, the same organization that did your previous pay classification and personnel study. And the last one was done 7 years ago. Standard is 4 years, 5 max, and we're now at 7 years that it has, and so what this will involve is they go through, they do the pay and classification, which you're very familiar with. But in addition, please remember that just like the discussion we just had about this background investigation, the statutes also charge you with doing a policy that's going to say how this is going to be done. And so there's no language in there that's going to cover this particular general statute for their fingerprint background. But in addition to this, there are many other laws that have been adopted or changed. COVID had something to do with some of them, but the majority of them no, that needs to be either amended and or adopted. Because it's been 7 years, you can imagine how laws have changed in the past 7 years, of which our policies do not discuss. And this is the same organization that did the previous one for you. They did the very same thing. Very same thing, nothing different. Yes, as Kim just stated to me, to remind you that, again, this COVID has happened since the last time that it was adopted. We also have AI that's making changes. There are many things and many reasons that this needs to be. This is an outside organization, the same as before. Nothing has changed. In the information that you provided, you have Becky's resume, the same person. So she has she has the knowledge of the organization. She is the person who did the last. She will be reviewing what has happened and taken place since the last one that you hired her to do, she presented and you adopted. No changes here, except for 7 years.
Council have any questions?
Well, I've got a couple of comments. I know we talked about doing this during the last budget process, and it was decided not to. And I can understand what you're saying about the general statutes and procedures, but I looked on the league's website this afternoon, and they've just updated the 2025 salary surveys for all the municipalities in the states, and the benefits are on there. I think they're 2 years old, so that information's already out there. And so I have a problem spending money getting that benefit salary survey information, but if we do, I think it should only be comparing Archer Lodge to towns that are similar in size and services of what Archer Lodge provides. And I know in the past when we've gotten it, it's like, well, 10 municipalities are surveyed and 5 offer health insurance, 6 offer dental. What I'd like to see, if the majority of the council members want to proceed with this, is we get the benefit package. Because to me, it's not how many of those 10 provide certain things, it's what your complete package look like. And in the past, it's not really been itemized that way. It's been, like I said, this many provide this benefit, this many provide that other, but to me, you don't get a good feel of what is being offered as a town unless you see the whole package.
I will say to that, when they do, because what they do is they do a comparison of exactly what you're talking about. And it's not just, and they do compare it to the same as well. However, the big thing here is who are your competitors? Who will we be trying to recruit from or competing with for staff?
I can understand that, but if you look at, say, Clayton, who's right next door, Garner and Nightdale, they have a much bigger tax base. They have a much bigger commercial base. They offer a lot more services, which means there are more responsibilities and duties for those staff members. So you're not really comparing apples to apples. I mean, I understand it from the competition, but they're 2 different jobs is the way I look at it. Because of the roles and responsibilities, not having the services that someone like Clayton does.
I agree. I don't think we should be comparing ourselves to someone who's triple the size, triple the population, triple the tax base. We are Archer Lodge, and we are still a small, mostly roof community. We don't have the businesses that they have. So I totally agree. And we use that information also with the last budget discussion. We talked about what some of the other municipalities were offering, what they were doing, the benefits that they have, and compared the ones who were closer to Archer Lodge. And we still were exorbitant.
And I dare say that they don't just look at the surroundings. And just like the last one that you approved and adopted, they look, it's very well-rounded. And they're going to tell you who they're going to be doing their analysis with, the organizations. So you'll know ahead of time where is she getting the data, or where are they getting the data from? Because that information will be shared. And we could go back and look at what the comparisons were, or what municipalities were used in the last one. And then ask that question, are you going to be using the same, or is there going to be a difference in those? So any questions that you may have, or you are uncomfortable with, then those are questions that we can ask. But it's the same situation. It is no different than the last, no different.
That leads me to think we can save our money then.
But there are gonna be changes in the last 7 years. And I understand, I promise you, I understand what you're saying. But in the event that, and we should have some difficulties recruiting for staff, say if you had some positions become open, and you have some recruitment problems, it could cause some issues in that area. It could very well cause some issues in that area. And you know, I'm gonna add something as well. When you say a salary study, it doesn't mean that you're gonna see any changes. It is fair and consistent. It doesn't mean that anyone or everyone or no one is going to receive a salary increase. What is true is that no one will receive a decrease in salary. But increases are not guaranteed because it is a legitimate comparison. And I dare say, I think you would be surprised that in some areas, in counties especially, you would think that certain positions are paid at a higher rate. But when you do a true salary analysis, you find that they are not. They are not paid higher than maybe some local governments. That is, it's not necessarily true. A lot of times assumptions are made that are found to be incorrect. But it is just something to say that we have good intentions of paying the staff through either wages and or benefits that is consistent with the market. Everything is market driven. If the market is not there, it has no effect on anything, any benefits you're offering or any salaries you're paying. It's all market analysis. It's the numbers. That is what it is.
I still go back, that they just posted the 2025 salaries for all the municipalities in North Carolina.
And those numbers will be used.
However, it's already there, so why
Right.
do we pay them to do what's already been done from the benefits and the salary?
But it's not just the salaries, it's the whole personnel policy
Well, that's
as
what I'm
well.
saying. To me, it's two different things.
But it's the whole package when it comes to the magistrate, they do it all.
But can we not have a contract that just says the personnel policy and don't do a survey for the benefits and salary because it's already on the website?
That, I've never seen that done before. It's typically, because when we enter into the MOU with them, they do everything.
But
They do absolutely everything, and they support it. So if in fact, just like, for instance, the last one that you did, when we just recently had a situation where you did some things under consideration, we contacted the same group, the MAPS group. They provided us with the information, supported everything that we needed, and that was a part of what came from the very last one. So it's more than just, they will support us in all three areas.
But would they just support us in one?
I don't have the answer to that. That's honestly, throughout all my experience, I've never been asked that question before, because it's always been what.
Who determines the language?
I'm sorry?
Who determines the language? Is that not us, since it's
They-
the memorandum of agreement?
No, they post the memorandum of agreement. The league does.
Mike, is it not my understanding, I think you mentioned that at a former meeting, this got unanimous approval upon the governing body, which is why it's been put on the agenda?
That's why it was put on there, that's what I thought that
Okay, and now
everybody,
there's, okay.
at the time, so things do change evidently.
Councilman Jackson, what are your thoughts on this? Not to put you on the spot. Let me add that. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm just, we've heard from two very valid points. I just want to kind of gauge where council is. If we need to ask further questions on this subject,
I think we
or
need to
where do
get-
we need to go?
I think we need to get answered to can they do the one part of it? So far as the full packet, that I'm not for that. Yeah.
Councilman Davis?
Looking at the cost here, is that the total cost?
Yes, that's the total cost. The
1,700?
Yes, and $500 of that is actually for, because the organization will actually come out and they'll do surveys. They're first gonna look at, they will speak with certain individuals, and typically there's more staff, but they speak with someone who holds a position of which we currently have. And they ask that person, you know, tell me what it is that you do. So there's surveys that are done. Then the department head or the supervisor will then do a comparison of what they have on record that is expected. So it's communication throughout the organization. The administrator will be a part of it. You as council will be presented everything that's, you know, that all the data that has been collected. There may be a situation where she may come out and do a presentation in the middle, because she will come out in the very beginning and have conversations with you. You will be kept abreast of absolutely every part and everything that's going to be done in this, because this is your document. This is something that only you can adopt and put in place. So there's a lot of work that's going to go into this. It is not just looking at something on paper and saying, this is what this person does. There are no assumptions made, because I'm sure that you know that since in the last 7 years, I'll use Jason as an example. Since him coming on staff, there's a very strong possibility that what he was hired to do and what he is actually doing is not the same. And so that's where your surveys come, you know, it's not just about salary. It's about job title changes. It's about reallocations and restructuring of the staff, because you may find that there's a position of which maybe you needed then and you don't need now. It's an organizational structure, I can't say it, an organizational restructuring potentially that is going to help with making sure that time is being spent where it needs to be spent and not reallocated somewhere else. I hope I answered the question.
It does. So I just like to point out to the council that later on here, we're going to be voting on $137,000 budget adjustment. This is $7,200 that we're arguing over. So I think we can find it somewhere in here to do this.
Which it is already allocated in that budget.
So, just my 2 cents.
Mayor Pro Tem Casper, not to leave you out. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I understand that's a guideline, basic. And sometimes I don't really agree with it, but it's the guidelines. And to get the proper help with the right salary, sometimes That's what it's gonna take to do it. And I just, I understand the package, and if we could get one part of it would be nice. And, I think we just need to find out some more questions before we do an actual vote on it. And make sure what we're voting on is the right information. So, I mean, it's,
The biggest question, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the biggest question it seems to be is the potential modification of the MOU to include basically only the personnel policy. So the biggest question is would the MAPS group do that, and what that cost would be? Is there any price break for only doing that versus the entire study? Council, correct me if I'm wrong, is that the major question?
Correct.
Okay. Everybody else? Okay. All right. So let's just have that answered then, and we're still early January. Obviously, this is important for budget talks, and we'll be in those budget talks soon enough. But we can certainly find an answer to that question, I'm sure. Okay. All right, so that brings us down to item 7, Town Attorney's Report.
Sir, we got 6F, sir.
I'm sorry. Thank you for the correction. I have my red pen, and it looks like an exam final, up here. 6F, discussion and possible action on budget amendment BA 2026-01. A very important topic.
Good evening, sir. And council, mayor and council. This is actually the first budget amendment that I have brought before you for this whole fiscal year. Normally, we probably have already had at least one, if not going on 2. So I'm kind of excited that this is the first time that I stand before you for a budget amendment. That says a whole lot about the budget that was passed. In looking at the budget amendment, I think Ben's got it up on the screen. I'm going to immediately go to revenues because that's where a lot of this, where we're amending from, come from. And so the revenues, as you're seeing here, if you will look, property taxes, vehicle taxes, and a lot of your sales and use tax, and then there's a change to the PEG channel support, a reduction in that. And what this is showing is I've analyzed the data or the amount of revenue that we have received for those items that I mentioned. And keep in mind that sales taxes are 2 months behind. So what we received in the month of December was for the month ending in October. So that only included July, August, September, and not 4 months of sales tax. So when I tell you that before you increase in sales tax, as you can see, we'll look at the first one, which is the 39, and then you go to 40, 42. You're seeing some pretty large figures there of increases, but not as large as the figure in the 25 property taxes, which is the very first one. I get that figure directly from the county because they send us out a spreadsheet at the beginning of the fiscal year, and each month thereafter, as they're getting discoveries and they get collections, and they let us know how much more is to be collected during their time. And as you know, by our audit, the tax office in the county collects at about 99.9% of their taxes, as well as the motor vehicle taxes always come in around 100%. So I have increased those revenues, as you can see. I don't have the figure right in front of me doing a total, because that white there represents all the general fund. The other 3 colors represent capital reserve, which we need some increases in the investment earnings, as well as the park reserve fund, that's investment earnings, and then the public safety reserve fund. Let me share with you on that note, as far as the public safety, this budget amendment includes an additional $30,000 to our public safety reserve fund, which is very important because today I received, as well as others throughout the county and through here, I'm not sure how many, if any of you elected officials, but I'm sure the mayor probably did because he's attended in the past, is that the county passed this morning the Fire Commission's cost share policy, which now means that the town will be paying additional monies toward fire safety protection as we've been going to some group discussions with all the town representatives and Johnston County Fire Commission throughout the last fiscal year. So this is going to be very important to know that, you can have mine. Actually, we'll have this right here. Okay. This is going to be very important because if you remember when y'all adopted the tax rate, we dropped it, I think we had a half a cent because we thought that the fire department, Northside Fire and Rescue, was going to get, I think, 12 cents. And so we did not drop the 12 cents. We kept that 12 cents in there because we were anticipating this cost share program to pass. And so during this fiscal year that we're in now, we are already ahead of the game in that we have put a 0.5% in the Public Safety Reserve Fund. So with this budget amendment, we're going to be adding an additional $30,000, which is going to help us more this coming budget season to prepare ourselves for this additional cost share that they're implementing, that the towns are going to be sharing with the county. We're not going to discuss this, what I just passed out. I'm just making you aware that it was approved this morning. So it's coming. And we have already started preparing, which is a great thing, but this budget amendment's going to even help us more. So now let's go down to the expenditures, if you will. You'll see that the majority of these is the general fund expenditures. And as we discussed tonight, I included some of the provisions that were discussed tonight, such as the personnel policy and pay plan. That is funded with this budget amendment, as well as another additional fireproof file cabinet for personnel records. We only have one. Those file cabinets are $10,000 to $12,000. Additional clerk software that is helping Ben because it's got AI a part of it, which has helped him turn the minutes around within a week or so. That amount is in this budget amendment of $1.5 thousand. Another item, which y'all have not been able to see, but in our vault, we have a shelf in there that is packed full with documents because we're retaining documents because, yes, y'all have approved a retention policy, but yet we still cannot shred older documents because there's still something underlying that needs to be updated regarding our retention policy. So in telling you that information, Cynthia has made it aware of us, and I think Ben has even seen at some conferences, there are scanning companies that will come in and scan documents, and that is per box. They actually, and they're approved by the law to do this. That's what they do. They'll come in, they'll box up, and what we're considering is just maybe doing personnel records to begin with because they are protected, especially when we get into this fingerprinting. Some of that will be audited by the SBI, that we have to keep it under lock and key. So we met with the company, and I think we got another demo next week about how they go about this process and we have access to these scanned documents, will help us get rid of some of the boxes in the vault that we have here, and will open up more room for additional storage. I have put that as well in this budget amendment. I'm trying to think if there's anything. The only negative that you will see here is the PEG media. We over budgeted of what we were going to be receiving from the Revenue Department and sending out to that entity. So I have reduced that figure by $6,200. Everything else is additions. As we lost our town administrator, we've had to hire, we have an interim part-time town administrator. So we didn't have part-time salaries in the administration. So you'll see some there that got zero or maybe very little, and we've had to increase those line items to reflect the loss of a full-time salary and then bring on some part-time salaries. So we are now at 6 full-time people and 6 part-time people. And the other 2 expenditures are dealing with the capital reserve fund and park reserve fund, and just increasing that $1,000 extra in interest. We're just going to be putting it into their fund balance.
Got a question for the.
Yes.
The employees, you said you brought on how many people?
I said we have 6 full-time employees now
Uh-huh.
and 6 part-time employees.
And has that changed since this year's budget?
That is correct, because we had a full-time town administrator and we had a full-time town clerk, HRO person.
Mhm.
Those 2 left.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we have 2 part-timers taking care of those 2 full-time positions. Is there any more questions, either revenues or expenditures? It is a change of $137,200.
I do have another question.
Okay.
How much is the cost share with the county going to cost us?
That's going to run around $70,000 more
Is that going
than what we're currently budgeted.
Is that going to go toward the North Side Fire?
I'm not exactly sure if the county will bill us separate, if it'll come from an invoice from the fire commission, and we just send, because I think they're going to be doing the money splitting.
Okay, when did we vote
Do
on?
you
Mr.
understand,
Mayor?
did you understand that, Mayor, at the last meeting?
It's my understanding, we can get clarification from the
Okay.
chief on that.
Okay,
Do you know when this was voted on by the council?
this morning, it was approved this morning.
No, not by the county commissioners, but when did we agree to this as the town?
We really don't have a choice.
Yeah.
It's been presented over the last year and a half. They've gone around, they did a group, and then they've gone to all the
Did the
individual
did the
towns.
town vote on this, though?
We don't have a choice. This is a county,
We do have a choice, because the county doesn't run the town's fire department. They run the county.
But we don't have a fire department.
Yeah.
We don't
The-
have a
the choice would be to build our own fire department. We
Right.
don't want to do that. There's no reason for duplication.
What
You're right,
happens-
we contract with them. It's a pass-through. I don't know if
that's
it's really
correct.
so
That's
much a
about to
contract.
explain that to
That's
him. So we collect all the tax money from the county, and then monthly I issue a check over to Northside to give them their portion.
Fire tax.
So I understand that. I do.
Okay.
What I would like to see is that all the money that comes in for the fire tax, for the town, that goes to the fire department. I'm not for it going to the rest of the county.
Gotcha.
Right, and I don't know, they're going to be splitting. That's why it's called a cost share.
The thing is, the
So
county
that would be a
can't take that
question.
money from us. They can't take money from the town. We have to give it to the county if we choose to do so.
I understand where you're coming from, but the commission that was approved, I guess, by the county, and they've been working with the county on coming up with, actually, I think like 3 different plans on how to go about this cost share program.
Because
And-
Northside is a county fire department.
That,
No,
right.
contract for us,
That's
but they're
not
a
technically
The
true. They
cost-
are a private business.
They are a private entity, yes.
So to answer the question, to my knowledge, in discussions with the chief and others, is that the cost share for our portion will only pertain to what happens within town limits,
Right,
not outside.
Okay.
right. I'm sure there's going to be a whole lot more discussion. Some towns are in millions of dollars debt they're going to be having to come up with in the year. We are luckily not one of those.
Kim, real quick, just, I'm adding numbers, the spreadsheet that
Yes.
you pass out. Is
Uh-huh.
this the breakdown, the county and municipal, that's all of North Side's call volume? That's not all of Johnston County, correct?
Well, they show in Johnston County, and then they're showing what's in the town.
But that's just the call volume for North Side Fire Department?
That's correct.
That's not Archer Lodge, it's in the county portion of North Side. Is that?
That's what this shows.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So it's not all of Johnston County?
No,
Okay.
yes. And actually, I do have a contact with the Fire Commission. Should you have any additional questions as this starts getting out to other municipalities, and it's good that it's come out this early so that they can too start, because the budget season's ongoing, and they can start planning for the next budget year as well. Is there any more questions?
Yeah, I'm kind of, sort of with you, I think, on this, that one of the things that they were talking about is the county fire tax was something that was going to go help fire stations that really they weren't, I guess, as fully staffed and fully equipped as what we have. And nor did they have a income from their district where they could,
That's the reason for the cost share program.
right. So that would mean that a portion of this probably would not go to Northside. It would go to those fire stations that are,
We'll get some clarity on that, but possibly.
And it will be up to that commission to determine their formula and how they're doing all that. We just get the information. And when there's an apparatus that has to be purchased, that's going to be a totally different ballgame on how they work that and
well, they only cost
paying it back, et cetera, et cetera.
$20 or so.
Yeah.
They-
So, but good questions, and I do, like I said, I've got this Ryan Parker, who's with the Fire Commission with the county. He gave me his card at the last meeting, and now that it has been approved, I'm sure they're probably going to be getting a lot of questions. So I'll be glad to share this information and give you his contact.
Kim, I think when we had that last meeting here with the fire commission, one of the things that is gonna help do is, the county can actually buy equipment in a bigger lump sum and get cheaper prices for it. So it's gonna help the fire departments also to a certain extent.
So, does anybody have any more questions regarding the budget amendment?
I do. We had something during the public comment section that I don't see why we couldn't use part of this to help with that on the,
Address it.
yeah,
Yeah.
the parks, the lighting and, that kind of stuff. I mean, how much, I don't know, because I don't remember how much we said it would cost per light.
Depends on how you're doing it. Again, I've gotten quotes, for almost everything. You can replace the current lights that, we currently have over there, which are not LED. I've gotten quotes to replace all for LED. Just depends on what council wants to do.
I'd like to get all the lights
We currently have 15 lights out.
Right.
It-
We're coming around spring and.
Yeah.
I'd like to
I mean,
get-
that would be really, I think it'd be a good thing if it's something we can afford.
I will say
And I think this
that,
could go a long ways towards, I don't know if it'd fix everything, but it'd go a long ways towards making a good faith effort anyway.
I will-
Can I ask a question real quick? Not to interrupt, but do you recall a round figure of what the LED sports lighting was for the multi-use fields that have just been completed or
Were you talking all LED or just the ones that are out?
No,
Just on that.
so I'm talking about the town's part on Castleberry Road. What did we just spend, Ms. Kim or Mr. Mike or anybody? Do we recall that number on the 2 multi-use fields? That
Musco.
contract with Musco.
I don't have that figure in front of me. I believe it was over 300-something thousand.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, and the whole reason I ask that is it would be significant to replace. One of the things, and this has been a subject that's been talked about for quite some time, and we have piecemeal to some extent as needed, and piecemealing. Unfortunately, these lights are, getting older, and by the time we got 1 or 2 replaced, then we had another 2 or 3 go out. And so far, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Chris, but we had the replacements that have taken place have been with the older HID lights, correct, with screw-in bulbs.
Are you talking at the community center?
That now,
We haven't
yes.
replaced any since I've been here.
Okay, so we've not replaced
We haven't
any?
replaced any.
Okay.
So we
okay.
currently have 15 lights out, that being 11 on the baseball field and 4 on the multi-purpose field.
Okay. So more have gone out since the process of
Correct.
what we've talked about.
Correct.
So,
And then again, we have to anticipate maybe 1 or 2 may be out just due to this weather that we're having here being cold. So,
Mhm.
again, I think we can either piecemeal it together or we can just tackle the entire system.
yeah. So that's where I was going at with that for council to be prepared, about what the return on investment is so far as length and longevity of this expense, Obviously, we need lights, and that's pretty obvious. For the safety of players and also to allow, for playing time, after dark, during the times of year where it gets dark earlier. But not only lights, while we're looking at it, we probably should have the poles evaluated. Those poles have been out there for a good while. And so we probably should have the poles evaluated as well. I think the most cost-effective thing to look at would be considering LED, as we have done at the town park, for longevity, for quality, for minimal, if no, light trespass or light pollution, if you will. It directs the light directly on the surface area that needs light. So it's the most efficient way to go. But as mentioned a while ago, it would not be cheap. But if it were tackled, it should handle the issue for many, many years. And so maybe that's the route that we should look at, is to gather, that quote or update ones we've already got, potentially to include an option of poles and arms as well, because it won't just be poles. It'll be poles, arms, and fixtures, and also, the installation. Now, we have gone with a company, Musco, with our town park, and that requires, some warranty and upkeep as well, in that. And because we don't have, bucket trucks and personnel to do it, I think that's another wise thing, to consider. But it is an issue that needs to be addressed. And, but just for council to be prepared, it is not a cheap fix. It is not a cheap fix. But, again, return on investment and longevity, I think LED would be absolutely the best way to go.
With that being said, I'd like the staff to reach out to the county and see if their parks department can help us financially with this.
Okay?
Reach out to the county commissioners also.
And that has been, Councilman Davis, that has been one of the issues. That we've been on the lookout for some grant opportunities, to help us, since that's not on town-owned property, but we do have, something in place. And, but we can certainly, certainly ask that question.
I will say, last year, staff received 3 different quotes to repair the lights that were out over at the community center. And we were informed to drop that idea because it was recommended that staff could help the board over at the community center obtain a grant, because like you said, it is not our property, we're just maintaining. But they're entitled to a grant. And nobody, to my knowledge, has been to discuss on grant writing and helping them obtain one. Also, I want to say that the lights have always been an issue since I've been here, since 2010. And they've always had problems over there. Now that we're maintaining it, we're supposed to fix it.
And which is what's in our agreement.
Well, maintain it. It doesn't say replace.
In
It
my
says
opinion,
maintain it
in my
and
opinion,
repair.
that's maintained.
Yeah. But replacing, like you said, with the poles and the LED, it's very expensive. But if they could at least get a grant, that would be wonderful, because
Well,
that's what we
grants.
have to do.
I think we could find the money.
Yeah.
I agree. And we found a lot, and it's helping our town park. But it would be nice if that board could help, we work together to obtain a grant for them, and then we can match it or whatever. So I agree, the lights have been an issue, and me and Chris have worked diligently trying to get quotes from 3 different vendors to at least repair, and then we've even included the mayor in conversations of whether or not to put the same lights back out there or go to LED, and he's recommending LED,
Yep.
which
I
we
think-
don't have that quote.
I think ultimately that's going to be the best route. And again, given the fact that some of those lights are different vintages, all of, most, the ones that are out, right? And so either they have totally failed or there's some other problem. And, but I do think, again, for the long term, that will solve the issue. And that's really, I think, where, it deserves to be focused, is solving that issue and considering how best to do that. I don't think it's going to have a cheap price tag. But, certainly, we can look at, some grant opportunities that again, as not to be redundant, but some of those grant opportunities may be open to the community center and not us. And, but I definitely think it deserves to be, but for a baseline, to update some of those quotes, or, at least let's discuss that at the next work session, potentially, just so we all have a sense of exactly what we're talking about. And
Right. I will add too, I did not mention this during the budget amendment, but I also have, Mike asked me this morning to see if there is any funds for the fingerprinting, the SBI background check. We do have funds that are in public buildings under professional fees. There's $10,000 allocated. So the spring season has already started. They are registering for that season. So we do have funds once this is decided on how the town's going to move. Just so you know, I didn't put it in here because I didn't know how y'all were going to go tonight with that. But there are funds available to cover the expenses.
Okay.
Any more questions regarding the budget amendment?
Well, I do one more thing. Year before last, when we voted on our budget, and which I'll take a hit on this because I didn't realize not voting for a tax increase didn't automatically mean that we had to readjust everything else on our budget. And we took a hit to our general fund. And I see that there's some going to the fund balance there, which I think is a good thing, but I don't know how expensive these lights are going to be or what mode we decide to go in. And admittedly, I'm always, if you get any sort of a grant, I love grants. But if we can, whatever we can muster over to that general fund would be a nice thing too. But that's
kind of my thoughts, Mark. I mean, we're getting $137,000 and immediately turning around and spending it. And we're about to start the budget process where new things might come up, and I think there's a lot of expenditures that, and until I get more justification, I don't see that they're really warranted, at least not right now. So I'm kind of like you, put it in there when we start the budget process, really see what these expenditures need to be for these different items.
Yeah, I was going to mention the same thing. I was going to thank you for the explanation for some of these items, but I was thinking the same when we did not cut spending, when we did the tax rate, some of this does need to go back to the general fund or have a rainy day fund. And when we receive the extra 137, we're spending the 137. So I agree, and I definitely agree with the plan for the lights. That is overdue. I spend a lot of time over at ALCC as well. So I would definitely like us to start the ball rolling for a plan for what we promised in that agreement.
We will put that down on the budget meeting.
Kim, that's 68,000 that we approximately, that we we held back on the tax. Mark, wasn't it 68? 0.5%?
Somewhere thereabout, yeah.
I think it was right at, so that money's going to sort of just go from one to the other, right? Because we kept that money because of the fire commission thing. We knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Right.
Just a matter of when they
We
said.
did increase the amount that was going to public safety to include that 0.5%.
Yep, that's in
Yes.
the current budget.
And this is actually increasing it even more, as well as Councilmember Jackson mentioned additional amount going to the general fund balance as well as to capital reserve and public safety and the park reserve fund.
What's the 9,000 Parks and Rec capital outlay?
Oh, glad you brought that up. You remember the community center lease mower that we had to purchase?
Well, I remember Dean Castleberry came and asked us, did we want to?
And y'all approved the purchase.
We
and-
never voted on it.
Yes.
Yes, you
Yes,
did.
we did.
And we purchased it, so I'm replacing the money. I wasn't asked prior to that, do we have the funds to purchase that mower? So I found it and I have replaced it. It was a $8,000 mower. Any more questions?
Is there a maintenance package with that?
We inquired about the maintenance package as well with the representative that issued the lease to the community center. And I even shared that with Mike today as well as Chris to remind them that he suggested that we do not get a maintenance agreement, that we do it, we purchase it, we do it on a quarterly basis and pay as you go. He said it would be much cheaper than to purchase the maintenance agreement.
Oh, okay.
So that's what we chose to do, just purchase the equipment itself.
Okay.
Any other questions? And if you do have any more questions about, a certain figure, please come see me. I can pull up the line item and I can go through how I come about this figure, et cetera, et cetera. That's what I'm here for. That's all I have, sir, unless nobody got any more questions for me.
Okay. All right.
Other than a motion to approve.
Okay. Councilman Jackson, I heard you.
Just my opinion, as the numbers are put on there, I don't know that I can vote for it.
Okay.
Until we find out this other information about the lights and all that.
Okay.
That's just my opinion.
All right.
I agree.
I agree.
I mean, I will vote, but my vote will be no,
Sure.
based on what we do.
All right. So, what I'm hearing is to table the budget amendment until further information is found out about the potential cost for the lighting of the community center field. Were there any other clarifications needed?
I would like some of these expenditures either reduced or removed and put back in the general fund. I mean, you know, you've got an increase in training and meetings, which I thought they were extremely excessive in the budget. You know, there's to me just, we're tax and spend, and we don't need to necessarily spend that $137,000 just because we got more revenue.
Is there a particular training and meeting line item that you're looking at?
Well, the one in here that's being increased, I don't know if there's more, and like I said, to me, it's, you start adding them up, that I just need justification of the need for these expenses before we just increase all these numerous different.
Well, I can justify that particular one. That's the only one on there for training and meetings, and that's the governing body's training and meetings, because we are looking at town administrator, and so all the costs associated with that, the extra meetings that are being had and the ones upcoming are being paid out of that particular line item. But I'll be glad to show you how I come across my figures.
Some of these others, like I said, to me, it's $137,000 is a nice little windfall, and I hate to just turn around and spend it.
Okay. All right, it seems consensus is to table this for further review, and we'll bring that up at a later meeting. Okay, item number 7, Town Attorney's Report.
I have nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, item number 8, Interim Town Administrator's Report.
I don't have anything, sir.
Okay, and let's see. You're free. You're free.
Tomorrow's a school day.
Thank y'all for coming.
Yep, thank you very much. Appreciate it, Scott.
Thank you guys, sorry for the interruption.
No worries.
All right, and next is the Assistant Town Administrator Finance Officer's Report.
I don't think we have to wait for Mike to return. He's aware of this stuff, as he signs off on it every month, as you do, sir, Mayor. The first thing that Ben, I think, had pulled up was the fund balance, the liability of the fund balance. And what this means is the total liabilities and fund balance that the town has is $3.7 million, okay? Of that figure, 1.97, now this is at the end of October, 4 months into the fiscal year. So what that means is 1.97 of that 3.7 million is our reader grant that we received, the big reader grant, over $2 million that we received. That, at the end of October, that was the amount that was left in that grant funds, okay? The other ones, the capital reserve is 80,000, approximately a little over 80,000. Park reserve is currently at 92, a little under 93,000. Public safety is a little under 535,000. These are the reserve funds that we have available, and then what is left in the general fund is $962,000. Okay, that's just what that liability statement shows you. In looking at the expenditures, And I'm not going to go through all these pages, but we're 4 months into the fiscal year. This is 33% of our fiscal year. And so what I do when I go to examine or look at these documents, I see where are we in that 33%? Are we over or are we under? And if you look at all the revenues on going to page 3 of that, ending in October the 31, our revenues are only at 13% collected, okay? The following pages are all the expenditures for the general fund, and then it also includes the 3 reserve funds at the very back. So in looking at each of the pages, they're broke down in departments. The first one is the governing body is overspent. They're already at 84%. In looking at the administration, it's at, hold on, switch pages. Keeping in mind that it's the bottom line. I don't think I've even got that page. Give me 1 second. Unless it did not print. It did not print. Does anybody have a page 5, it goes in 5 or 6. It goes in right into the next tax collections. So I can't give you the percentage for the administration at that time. It's not showing on mine, so it would not show on there. I can see it right here on the screen. The last figure on the page 5 is 61, but that's not the total percentage for the department. That's that just particular line item there. Tax collection is only 11%, legal is at 34%. Property taxes were already over 100%. That's at 426%. That was probably on that budget amendment to increase that. Public buildings, that's not giving me a percentage as well. PEG media, I've already mentioned about the PEG media earlier. Contracted services with the public safety, as you can see, fire department where we are. That is under, I can tell just by looking at those figures. Public works, pretty much the same thing. Not very much expended in public works. Moving on to planning and zoning. I don't think there was a lot in the planning and zoning that needed to be updated or way overspent. And with Parks and Rec, there was just a couple of line items that did not have anything budgeted in that particular line item. Something must have come up to take that, and we needed to increase those. And then, of course, the debt that's out there, everything's been paid so far except the town hall payment and Parks and Rec software module. That has been paid since this report was done. And then the interfund transfers, this is where we transfer from general fund over to the capital reserve, public safety, and park reserve fund. And currently, if you'll look on page 18 of the general fund, this is an operating statement of revenues and expenditures so that you'll see where we are year-to-date regarding revenues and how much the expenditures are and the deficit that we are currently in as of October 31. Now, I say all that because y'all know what happens in the month of November with the county. Everybody pays their property taxes in November, and we get that big check in December. So you're not going to see those revenues here. They're coming, okay? Any questions regarding general fund right now? If not, I'll go on over to the reserves. Because basically all that's happened in the reserve funds is investment earnings. And then where you see the transfer that was put in the budget to transfer a certain amount already to the reserve funds, that's been done. I do that at the first of the fiscal year. So that part has been done. So basically a lot of the 2 reserve funds, the capital reserve and the public safety, a lot of those activity just goes right into fund balance at this point. Is there any questions regarding October with any of those 4 funds? If not, then we'll go on to November and just run through that right quickly. And November is the 5th month of the fiscal year, and it's at 42% spent. So in looking at the liability statement as of November 30th, if you'll see, of the 3 million, little over 3 million, the reader grant, Fund 44, is at 1.2 left. The SCIF grant, we still got a little bit of money in that, 149,000. And the other figures hadn't changed a whole lot since from the October, and the reserve funds at the very top, a little less than 81,000 to capital reserve. Park reserve, 97,000, a little over 97. And then the public safety is at 536,000. And then that's leaving a fund balance in the general fund at 946,000. This is as of November 30th. Okay, now going to the statement of revenue and expenditures and looking at the revenues.
I'm sorry, I have a question on the,
Okay.
on the liabilities and fund balance for 11/30, as of 11/30.
Okay,
It's the reader grant,
reader, yes,
what is that going towards?
park.
Park. And the SCIF is going toward the park, correct?
Yes, yes. Actually, when we were contacted by Representative Donna White, she wanted to know how much we felt like we had some projects for, and we quickly gave her a list of 5 or 6 items. All of them except this corner lot down here, which is what Councilmember Purvis wanted to see happen, was a part of that $2.3 million. We've done this research with environmental. I bet we spent $50-something thousand on that corner lot down there, you know, at the end of the soccer field right here on this side of the road. It's not feasible for a parking plaza, as we called it, because there's a blue line stream and we can't be but so many yards of it, so it wasn't going to be feasible. So now that money has been reallocated toward park stuff.
Okay.
Any other questions?
So, yeah, so of what's left right now, has any of that been allocated to anything?
Yes, and that will not show in this figure if it's encumbered. Good question. If it's encumbered, it will not be a part of it, and I will have that on my software. But I will tell you this, we have until June 30th to get every bit of that encumbered, and staff is working diligently to get that done, because if it's not, it has to be returned.
Well, with that being said, I'd like to see the, at the park, I'd like to see the playground redone, like take it down and put a different one up.
Which park?
The Archer Lodge Park, the new park on the.
Our new park playground?
Yep. I'd
Okay.
like to see something new out there.
We did try to, we seeked an accessibility grant, and we were denied, because there's more to the park area than that side. It's supposed to be on the other side of the sidewalk that goes between there. But that particular playground was approved by the council when we received the PARTIF grant for that facility, for that playground equipment.
Well, I guess I'll just put it out to you. I'd like to see something new out there. It's faded, I'd like for y'all, if you ever get a chance, to look into Town Wendell's new park they just put up. It's got a nice playground that's inclusive for people in kids in wheelchairs, and I think we could put something like that out there.
That's what we tried to get
Yeah,
when we didn't win the
We
grant.
applied for just such a grant. and
500,000 actually.
Unfortunately, we did not get it.
And we got 1.2 million, and I know there's.
And it's allocated, like I said, I'll be glad to go over and show you exactly how much of that and where it's going, be encumbered. We still got a few projects, we're waiting on the construction to go out for bid for their maintenance, the Parks and Rec maintenance building that will go across the street. We still have
And the pickleball courts.
pickleball courts, that's in the design phase, and they will go out to bid hopefully in the next 2 months and they'll be on the phase 2 of the bigger part of the property. We're currently finishing up the restroom facility. The Musco lights were a part of that, as far as the installation too, that was a part of that too. It's not just the lights, you got to pay another company to install them. Chris, what else we got? Some that, that's all for the phase 2 down there. Oh, the irrigation The irrigation was done for the multipurpose field. That whole field down there has got irrigation in it. That's recently been done. The fencing, a lot of the fencing's got to go up. We've gotten the quotes on that. We haven't sat down and talked about which one to go with and stuff, but that's mandated by the landscape. We have to put in the fencing, especially around the retention pond. That's going up right now, but that's part of that package for asphalt and curb and gutter.
I'm just a little concerned. We're spending a lot of money, and at some point that money will run out. And then,
That's correct.
Then y'all will be coming to us asking us for money for things that may or may not got finished. It happens. You know, projects go over budget.
Right, and that's what staff's point was in this last budget year, is that it's always been under the town body, is that when they incorporated, they did a survey, and the majority of wanted the park. And so it's been staff's position is the park's been built, and you have to maintain it, and you have to staff it, and you have to put the equipment out there instead of just building the park and walking away from it. We can't do that. So it's staff's priority to get that done, and we're doing the best we can do. Any more questions regarding the liability or anything? But please do come see me. I'll be glad to share, what we have encumbered and what's to come. If not, we'll go ahead to the statement of revenues and expenditures. Like I said, we're at 42% of the fiscal year. So when you look at the revenues, at the end of November, we're only at 16% collected. And if you go to the individual departments here, different pages, and I don't see the percentages. I don't know why it's not printing it out on some of these pages. But it'll show you which line items are over or less than. I don't look at them if they're less than. That's great. I look at anything that's over the 42%, and that's how I come up with any budget amendments. And if we need to move some funds out of one area and put them in another for unexplained or unrealized, and we didn't know these expenses were going to happen, and it's something come up that we did not plan for. So we have to reallocate some to other areas. I'm quickly running through the pages to see if anything jumps out on me different than it did for the ending of October. And I'm currently at the public safety page. I do not see anything there that's not planned for. Okay, let me mention one thing. I do see it got to the planning and zoning, but this has actually affected administration, planning and zoning, and Parks and Rec. So if anybody's familiar with Microsoft Windows, they no longer support Windows 10. Every computer in Town Hall has run Windows 10. So we've had to upgrade. We upgraded 4 new computers. We have, this one is a new one. The executive administrator, hers is new, it's full. Mine is new. Jason's is new. Ben's is 96% full, is not upgradable. Chris, I think his is upgradable. On the version that he has, he can pull in Windows 11, and we're good for a little while on that one. So as you see, some of these small equipment and furnishings is with regarding those computer systems and being compatible with the upgrades going forward. I think that's all I see in the general fund that's just way out there from the percentage that we're, looking for. Does anybody have any questions that they're running through it? If you hadn't had a chance to kind of delve into it, please do so. Come see me. The end of December happened last week, so of course I've not had a chance to do the December financials. There will be different because we've gotten a big majority of our property taxes from the county during the month of December. And then all that's happened really in the capital reserve fund is just additional interest and investment earnings. And then that 2 cents of the tax rate that we transfer from the general fund over to the park reserve fund. You'll see that in the park reserve fund, the transfer from the general fund. And then the public safety that's just all basically the investment earnings there. And then if you look at the last page, it's it's a lot different from the last page ending October 31. I think it was a negative 400 and something thousand, and now it's a negative 310,000. So it's coming down. It's coming down. I'm not too concerned about that even as we go in and I do the financials for the month of December. I feel like, I don't think it'll be gone, but I think it'll be a lot better than what that figure is showing. Okay, just real quick to rehash, I think I've got 2 spreadsheets. One's on the SCIF grant, if Ben will pull that up right fast. And this is as of December the 10th, so this is more of an up-to-date figure for you. If you'll turn to the last page, you'll see in the green there, the amount left to be encumbered. It's a little less than $69,000. But you see right above that, $67,000 is encumbered. So we've still got some POs out there that we're working to get resolved, get completed, and empty it out. And then we still have $68,000 to encumbered, and that's probably going to be going toward the fencing that we just talked about. If anybody's been out to the park, they saw the new dog park. That, and Chris is in the process of getting those dog park rules and signage for that. We've already had people very happy to see the dog park. And then plus two, we've added additional signs out there because people are letting their pets off the leash when they're just walking around the park. And so we're trying to make sure that they understand that pets have got to be on the leash, liability reasons. If you want them off the leash, you can visit our new dog park when it opens. And let's see, just so you know too, go back to page 1 of that SCIF. Since this has not got any time limit on it, okay, like the other one does. This was no time limit, but we are knocking down that amount. And as of December the 10th, if you look in the far right hand, you'll see the amount of interest that has been earned up to date on the amount of $850,000 when we received that money. So the amount of interest is a little less than $26,500, which is good.
You said the SCIF had no time limit.
That's correct.
So
It does not.
Have we stopped spending the SCIF money or spending it instead of just using the reader money?
We're spending the SCIF money on, we spend it on the dog park. We're spending it on the fencing that's coming up. He's gotten quotes.
But the reader was also for parks? Was the reader?
Yes, that's our big grant.
Why would we not stop spending the SCIF money and spend the reader money since that has a time limit on it?
We are. We've got some projects that we're waiting to get back and get some bids out.
I understand that because you
I
have.
agree with you.
You have expenses for 12/4, 12/4, 12/10. We could stop spending that money and knock down this reader grant.
Yes, but when you get grant monies, and that's what we're doing, but when you get grant monies, there's a scope of work that is involved with those grants, and you have to spend it on exactly what you said you were going to spend that money on. So if it does not, for the SCIF, if it does not involve landscaping, if it doesn't involve that park maintenance building, if it didn't involve the farmhouse that just got demoed, if it didn't involve the well and the septic for the park, then you can't spend those grant fundings for that. So it's got to be spent on what exactly the scope was for that particular grant money. The reader grant, there was, I think, 5 different things, but it's all park related except this parking lot that I mentioned earlier. So if it's not spent on that particular item, then you're not following the scope of work that we had to sign saying that we were going to do. So in other words, let's just say, okay, well, let's take this money and spend it over here on their lights at the community center. That's not on the scope of work, we can't do that. Sounds like a great plan.
How would I get a
We
copy of
can't do
that scope of work? I'd like to get a copy of that scope of work.
Scope of work,
For the
you want
reader.
it for both grants?
Just the reader.
Just the reader?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else got anything? If not, we'll go right to the reader grant on the last page. And you'll see that we have left encumbered a little less than $850,000. But like I said, we don't know how much the pickleball courts are going to be. We don't know how much the maintenance building's going to be. There's some other variables that we don't know of. So we're having to make sure that we've got the funds to handle those projects because they are listed on the scope of
Are
work.
we bidding those contracts out?
We have to, yes. If it's a certain threshold, I think it's anything over 300,000 has to be bidded. And even with regular quotes, we always try to get 3 bids. Even if it's $10,000, we're still trying to get 3 bids. We want the best bid possible. And also, as you can see in this, what we do have encumbered is a little less than $230,000 of the reader grant. Okay, we are diligently, I promise you, working to get that down. I don't want to send any money back to the state.
You said that was June 1st?
June 30th.
30th.
End of the fiscal year. It was at the end of last year, but they moved it to the end of our fiscal year. Is there any more questions? Anything I can answer or research to provide an answer for you? I know this is a lot at one time, but it's my duty to make sure you're getting the financials as I get them done. If not, that's all I have, sir.
Okay. All right, item number 10, town clerk's report.
I don't have anything to report tonight, Mayor. Thanks.
Item number 11, town planner's report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's always hard to follow Kim and all her fun numbers. I'm going to ask you to try to change your mindset to think about a couple other things. On the agenda, we have animal control stuff. That's just for you to look at and know that it exists. We're not going to discuss that. More importantly, as of today, we have 2 vacant planning board seats that we need to address. And we have a few different ways to go about addressing that. The first one, which is followed in many municipalities, is that you appoint to the vacant spots anyone that received votes in the last appointment voting session or election. That would be the most straightforward option. That's option 1. Option 2 would be to review all of the, you as a council, to receive all of the applications that were submitted in this last round or that we have on file for people that weren't appointed. We verified with Ben earlier today that we have 7 applications on file. So if you would like to go down that route, we can look at all of those applications to bring those people onto the planning board, and you all could discuss that further. And then the last option, which is the least desirable because it drags along the process, is reopening applications for the planning board. I don't like that option because last year we did follow that and we didn't appoint a vacant seat until 6-7 months later. Luckily, planning board does not have a high volume, so it's not a big impact, but there are murmurings and things that are being brought to me that I do see planning board having a bigger part in this calendar year, and you all getting some of that as well. So I would like to have a council or a full planning board, as soon as possible with, especially if we have valid candidates that can fill those positions and people that want to serve on the board. we only have John and Chris Dadrick, the new guy, and Eric, if he decides to join us. So we're kind of in a spot where Chris, who was appointed in November, is the second highest tenured person on the planning board at this point. So we just gotta really tackle this with some intention and some thought. And planning board's an important position. They guide you guys on planning, planning-related projects, and give you recommendations. So I think that's important. But yeah, I would like us to discuss that tonight, and I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
What names, is there somewhere we can see the list of applicants right now?
So if you guys would all like to go down that route, or just see that and not make a decision, Ben has that, and he can send that to you tomorrow.
I have all, since I started in June, I have all applicants that have applied and not been appointed. Like I said, that's 7. Up until New Year's Day, we had someone apply, or New Year's Eve, we had someone apply on New Year's Eve, even when there wasn't an open seat at the time. So people are interested. But I can forward those to you all. If you all choose to reopen, I would like some guidance as to whether you would like to still include the previous applicants along with the new applicants as well. That's just something to think about if you choose to go that route.
So is there 8 plus the 7, if you can include the new applicant?
That's
Or-
7
is it-
includes the new.
Could we not just reach out to them and see who all is still interested and get the number of people that are interested and go off of that?
That's for you all to direct us. We'll do whatever you all would like to do.
Normally, that's how we have addressed it in the past, but this kind of all sprung up today, having two spots being open, and I would just like to have us discuss, but if that's the route we want to go, Ben and I can tackle that tomorrow, follow up with you all. If anyone's not interested, that won't be included, and we'll just let you all know.
Sounds good to me.
Anyone against that approach?
I would like just for you to go through there and see who got votes last time and go from the highest number of votes down. And call them and see if they're still interested in taking it. And if they are, then we'll have to vote on it, I guess.
I'm not against that either.
Well, I'd rather see all 7.
I would,
Just
yeah, I want to see who's on the
what
list.
the pool looks like if you've already got them. Let us take a look at all 7 of those.
But I'd still like them to reach out just because they may not
Still want to.
want to do it.
And I will say that 7 includes the 2 that were not appointed last time. So you'll still see the 2 that weren't appointed and still got votes technically. They'll still be included because they had to apply. But I can make a note maybe if you all want of who those people were.
So it'd be what, 9? You said?
It would still be 7. Well, actually,
No, if you
I
add
have
the
to go
2
back and count because I'm not sure. I think the 7 may have included the other 2 applicants that did not get
I'd like to
appointed.
include the other 2 applicants that didn't get it.
Right. I think that was inclusive of the 7, but I'll make sure you all get those tomorrow.
All right.
Okay. That provided the information that you needed?
Yes, sir, as long as
Okay.
that's the consensus
All right.
and the direction we want to
Does
go.
anyone else have any concerns with that approach? Okay.
Thank you.
I got one question. The
Yeah.
Johnston County Animal Control, have you heard anything back from them as far as our contract with them? I know there were some discussions that they were getting really over.
Yeah, we haven't heard any update. I think since we started allocating more money towards them, that's kind of been okay. They've been okay with that, but I'm sure that'll come up soon.
That's the contract with Town of Clayton.
Right. But it hasn't come up since then, but I think when it was discussed prior, is kind of just a notification that this is something that they have earmarked for down the road. We don't know when down the road is, could be next month, could be 3 years from now. But as we learn more, we'll definitely share that with you all.
Okay. Any further questions? All right, moving to item number 12, Parks and Recreation Director's Report.
Good, I guess it's good night. Good evening, council. Just give you some updates. As was mentioned previous, we hopefully here soon will have 2 projects out for bid. That being, again, as Ms. Kim mentioned, the pickleball courts as well as our park maintenance facility. Hopefully that we can get those out and someone will win them, and we can get started on those projects. Because I know the mayor is not liking our equipment out here out back. As well as some other things in phase 2. Restroom should be complete sometime soon. As Ms. Kim mentioned as well, dog park is up. We're just waiting to add some park benches, which have we've kind of finalized, as well as some signage, which should be finalizing within the next couple of days here, along with some additional signage, that being no smoking, keeping your pets on leash, as well as towing. Your cars will be towed away. We've had a couple of instances where some cars have been in our park overnight. With that, it hasn't been where it's been a free-for-all where someone's driving into the park. It's where our park is easily accessible at night. You can come off Sterling Lane and just drive into the park. So hopefully with some additional projects such as the fencing, will limit access to our park. Spring sports are well underway. Softball, baseball registration opened up New Year's Day. Have well over, almost close to 150 that have signed up since New Year's. So we're definitely looking forward to that, as well as flag football has been open a while here. We should see an uptake in that registration within the next week or 2, with flyers going out to schools, since schools will be back in session tomorrow. And that's about it. Questions, concerns? Thank you.
I don't hear you.
Oh, sorry. You give me a thumbs up. I thought you had a question.
No, I give a thumbs up. I'm good.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Item number 13, Mayor's Report. I'd just like to wish everyone a Happy New Year, and in the interest of time, move along. Item 14, Councilmember Jackson.
You mentioned at the very beginning about the speed limits. The speed limits is something we were looking at, and then you were talking about Roger Thompson. His son's was my Sunday school student. Kind of view him like as a adopted kid, so if it keeps people out of their front yard, I'm pretty happy with that. And there's a brand new baby out in that particular area too, and there's no old tree that used to protect the old houses anymore. So we're looking at it, and we should have something soon.
I think Travis Farmers.
It is. Lives on the opposite side of
I
Avon.
believe he could use the whole wife. That would be helpful.
That's it for me.
All right, Councilmember Davis.
Mayor, going forward in some of your conversations with the county manager and county commissioners and members of the fire commission, I would like to see the town of Archer Lodge have a representative on the fire commission with the way things are going forward.
Okay,
That's all I have.
is that it? Councilmember Eccles?
Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you for those who came out, and thank you for the staff for your numbers and your reports.
Mayor Pro Tem Castleberry?
I got 2 things. One's to come out to the breakfast New Year's Day. Appreciate coming out. And we had a community center full. So, the next thing is, also in the last 2 months, I have talked with, Ms. Donna White several times. I've been involved in stuff with the Economic Development Board down there in Smithfield, and, also I've talked with Trey Lewis, and I have talked with Tom Tillis, and I have mentioned about any kind of grants coming in. They're still talking highly about the western part of the state. Still taking a lot, funds going out that way, and, but they said that there's some talk that there may be some grant money. Probably wouldn't be at the sum that it was at one time, but I have asked them to please keep us in mind, and basically thinking about the lights out here and finishing up the park out over there. So, but anyway, have a happy New Year.
And Councilmember Bruton.
I'll be short and sweet and say Happy New Year.
All right, then move along to item 15, adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Move.
I have a motion. Is there a second? Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Amen.
We are adjourned. Thank you.